Thank you, Jared and Shauna. No longer pushed by pain, I am pulled by vision. This song captures a worthy aspirational goal. If we turn within and listen to that divine guidance that is always there waiting for us, we just stop and listen. If we just stop. And then our vision of that divine intention of our lives will be so clear and so inspiring that we can follow that silver thread through life. It's just waiting for us to find it. And life will flow with ease, with perfect harmony and synergy. And, this is heaven on earth. This is really what we're all looking for. Right? But why then do we still have so much pain, sorrow, and suffering in our lives? Right? The theme this month is Our Soul's Call. And today's topic is Pushed by Pain. In Science of Mind, we believe that we have within us a power. Next slide, please. That can overcome every obstacle in our experience and set us safe, satisfied, and at peace, healed and prosperous in a light and a new life. This is from Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind textbook. So if this is true, if we have that power within us, why do we experience pain? You know, if we do experience pain, is there something wrong with us? You know, have we done something wrong? Are we being punished for our sins? Some people might say. Well, in Science of Mind, we do not believe that pain is punishment. Sin is not condemning you to hellfire and damnation for the rest of your life. The word sin comes from archery. Okay, and so when the archer pulls back on his bow and he aims at the target, let's go, then if the arrow hits the mark, great, bullseye. But if you miss, that's called sinning. Sinning means missing the mark. So in archery, when you miss the mark, what do? You try again. And hopefully you improve a little bit and you hit that bullseye the next time or the next, right? It's a matter of trial and error. And so the pain, the sinning, allows us to redirect and try again. The consequences of sinning in our everyday life is the natural consequences of our actions. You know, if you drop a glass, it's going to break and it'll spill the milk all over everywhere, right? And so you're more careful next time. And so it's the same thing, learning to live consciously with the spiritual laws. In the reading this morning, Nancy read about how the scientists are already learning to cooperate with nature and its laws. Gravity holds things down, water flows down streams. The actions that create climate change. We're learning to accept that and change things that are raising the temperature of the earth. We're learning to all the problems of the increased volatility of the winds and the storms, the drought and the heavy winters and hurricanes and so forth. So we have within our control the little pieces that add up all the billions of people on the earth to climate change. It's our use of how much carbon dioxide that we personally create. Right? Now, Holmes suggests that religionists must also learn to cooperate with nature and the spiritual laws. Now, another thing that was in the reading is people have freedom of choice. So this is another excerpt from the reading. There is this question, however, that naturally arises: why all the suffering, sorrow, and pain? Why has tragedy accompanied the journey of man? There is no other way through which individuality can evolve. Man must be let alone to discover himself, else be compelled arbitrarily to follow one road, in which case he would be an automaton and not an individual. You see, if we never ventured outside our comfort zone, we would limit our growth. If we never took a risk or never tried something that no one had ever done before, humankind could not evolve in our physical form. By sticking to the tried and true, our lives might actually become quite monotonous. Some people might like that, but not me. We would be clones just like everyone else. Right? So, if we are to evolve as true individuals, as individualized expressions of the one life, our soul calls us to explore the unknown, to dig deep into spirit and discover who we are. Consider that pain is not only pushing us away from options that no longer support us, that create pain, but the pain is also pushing us towards new possibilities and a brighter future. Now, Tracy Brown is a religious science practitioner, and she suggests that pain is the perfect fertilizer for our growth. Now, Tracy Brown is one of my favorite people in the Centers for Spiritual Living. She's the past chair of the CSL Leadership Council, and her practitioner consciousness is amazing. When she was the chair of the council for 2 years, she was there where we took a lot of the old Religious Science International and United Church of Religious Science into being the United Centers for Spiritual Living as one. And so all of that old thinking had to be shedded or shed. And so she really helped people see through all of that stuff, all the old thinking, to that spiritual truth in every person, every situation, and the oneness of our organization. And it was very transformational. I mean, we moved from operating in the red to operating in the black and all kinds of wonderful things. The the council and all of the centers were able to have a clear vision for the future so we could move forward together. Now, in our daily lives here, this is the time when we plant our summer gardens of flowers, grass, new trees, and as we plant, we will prepare the ground with fertilizer quite often to provide the essential nutrients for healthy growth. Right? And so our pain, like that fertilizer, can guide us to know what we have to release, to enhance or substitute in order to achieve that dynamic, meaningful, and fulfilling life that we desire. Even more profoundly, pain can guide us to look deeper within ourselves, to discover our soul's purpose, our calling. Now, this is a quote from Tracy Brown. Pain can be your motivation for a breakdown, a breakup, or a breakthrough. What do you choose? We have choice how we're going to respond. There's a great story in this Science Mind magazine. Reverend David Alt wrote the Daily Meditations. He's a fabulous writer. And for the last week of 2020, he went into a Jesuit retreat center to spend the week in a silent retreat in a tiny cloistered room. And on the wall was a poster with a short statement about the inevitability of change. But David could not help staring at how the word change was written. Between the two large end letters of C and E was the word hang. And he realized that he often found himself hanging on to the past rather than flowing with change. To change, he would have to molt, just like a snake sheds its skin in order to grow. And so for that week, David Alt contemplated what he needed to release so that he could grow. What habits, what old beliefs, what old identities no longer served his new life in the new year. See, there's no expansion of our lives without change. Michael Singer wrote a wonderful book called The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself. This is the book. It's a fabulous book. And one of the quotes from there is one of the essential requirements for true spiritual growth and deep personal transformation is coming to peace with pain. Uh, change, let's see, coming with pain. Expansion or evolution cannot take place without change, and periods of change are not always comfortable. Change involves challenging what is familiar to us and daring to question our traditional needs for safety, comfort, and control. This is often perceived as a painful experience. We don't, change is uncomfortable, so we'll resist, sometimes at all costs and to our detriment. Well, what I'm suggesting today is that we do not want to deny or avoid pain. There can be some unexpected consequences of doing that. Ernest Holmes said, I believe everything is as real as it's supposed to be. If a person hurts, he hurts. There's no use denying it. We in Science of Mind we believe in spiritual healing and take an aspirin. We work side by side with doctors. God is in the doctors and the nurses as well as in our prayer treatment. You need the prayer treatment for the permanent healing, but they all work together. And just because we're experiencing pain at a physical or emotional level, it does not mean that it is the spiritual truth of who we are or that that pain needs to continue. It is a signal back to us that something needs to change. There's something we need to release. And so rather we want to embrace as the pain, see the pain as an invitation to a higher consciousness and alignment with spirit, with deeper love. The pain provides clues to what we need to change in our consciousness and our beliefs to experience something different. Trial and error, if you will, right? The Thompson R. In the Complete Source book summarizes Ernest Holmes' um, words about denial. And he says, denial is a technique used in argumentative treatment which allows the practitioner to come to the realization. It's a preliminary step to eliminate false ideas and is followed by affirmation. We deny the false and affirm the truth. All right, so we create an opening by taking out that false belief, and then we have to remember to fill it up with the truth. Right? If we don't, that pain can come right back. Right? Another thing that's important about being able to release the pain is non-resistance. Right? So when we resist change, it causes pain in the first place. That's a lot of where it comes from. And when we fight an adverse condition, it actually gives us power over us. It's like trying to swim upstream in a fast-moving river. Right? It keeps pushing it back against us. Non-resistance allows us to look beneath the appearance and align our observations and actions to harmonize with the rest of God's world that's around us. If we resist the pain, if we try to ignore it or cover it up without addressing whatever's going on, it will just stay there underneath the surface and fester. If we do not resist the pain, but instead look it in the face and see what it actually is and is not, if we see what that spiritual truth is about the situation, you can release and heal the pain. You see, pain is not just about physical pain, but there's also these things that happen in our lives that cause us pain in emotions, or our financial situation, or the fear of moving ahead and letting go, pain when we lose someone dear to us when they pass, or we move or they move. There's all kinds of change that causes pain. Now, Michael Singer tells a great story that really, for me, showed a lot about what happens when we try to suppress that pain. So, he talks, and this is from Untethered Soul. And so he talks about a reaction to pain that creates this important lesson. So our spiritual journey is one of constant change, of transformation. And so when we experience that pain, we want to naturally protect ourselves from experiencing the pain in the future. When you burn yourself on the stove, you don't touch the stove again. Put your hand in the flame, right? When you fall, when you're learning to roller skate, or just learning to ski or ride a bicycle, you practice so you improve your technique and hopefully don't fall again, or make it you take it a little easier the next time, a little slower, so you can avoid falling. You can master the beginner slopes before you take on the intermediate slopes, and definitely before you hit those black diamonds, right? Now, these inner disturbances, such as loneliness, jealousness, fear of financial losses, fear of confronting someone who has hurt you in the past, all of these bring pain, which is just as real. And how you try to heal that emotional pain can either support your growth and transformation, or it can stymie you in perpetual pain for your whole life, right? Now, here's the story. Imagine that you have a thorn in your arm, right? It's a pretty hefty thorn, and it directly touches a nerve. And every time that thorn is touched, it's very painful. It's hard to sleep because you roll over and you wake up in pain. It's hard to go for a walk in the woods because you might brush that thorn against the branches. It's hard to stand close to people because they might touch that thorn and put you in pain. Life is very difficult. So you have two choices. First choice, you can make sure that nothing touches the thorn. Second choice, take out the thorn, but that might cause some more pain, right? So let's see how choice one would work. So you're very creative. So you become proactive about preventing anyone or anything from touching that thorn. So if you're going to go on a walk, you thin out the branches in the woods and you make sure you have a wide pathway down through the woods so there's no chance that you would touch the thorn. Let's say you want to go to sleep. So what do? You set up an apparatus so you won't roll over on the thorn. It keeps that arm with the thorn sticking straight up. All right. So you get to sleep through the night. This is good. All right. And maybe, when you're going to go out, you want to go to work or be in relationship with people. So you build a protective apparatus around you so that no one can touch your thorn. Now, unfortunately, this apparatus makes it difficult to sit at your desk and makes it hard to work. So, but you learn ways to cope with this as well. You're very creative and determined to make this work. And you get to the point where you feel that you've mastered the problem of the thorn and you are free to live your entire life. But in reality, every moment of your life is built around dealing with that thorn. You spend a lot of time and energy, and it still gets knocked now and then, and it still brings up pain. Now, what if that thorn is a symbol of an inner feeling like loneliness, right? How would that inner feeling control your life, that inner pain? It's something happened to you at one point in time. You felt really lonely, and so it stays with you your whole life. In fact, you're so lonely that it's hard to sleep at night because you start obsessing and thinking about these things, about how you feel alone. And what if you had difficulty with everyday interactions to the point that you had trouble concentrating at work? You're always worrying about what's going on, and it's hard to get close to people because you're afraid that they're going to reject you, or maybe you're going to say the wrong thing and that will make them reject you. You're going to be alone. It's just your whole life, you're destined to be alone, right? You might avoid going to places where couples are having fun because that could trigger you. At any moment, your sensibilities could be triggered and your heart would just ache so, right? Well, you could mute those painful feelings with alcohol or drugs or eating or just staying alone in your house, right? We do all kinds of things to manage those thorns, those inner thorns. And it takes over our lives. So let's look at choice two, taking out the thorn. So, yeah, there's some pain when it comes out, but eventually it will heal. But how do you take that root cause of these inner feelings like loneliness rather than avoid it? How do you free yourself? The answer is that you heal yourself by finding yourself. Look deep within yourself to find that core of your being, to that self with a capital S, That is the divine self that is aware that you are one with God, that you are an expression of the divine. The God qualities of love and wholeness, of inner peace, of self love and loving relationships that you are seeking are already a part of who you are within you. And so, from this perspective of wholeness, the next time that those feelings of loneliness come up, you can just observe them. You know, they're not you. These feelings pass. This is not the truth of who you are. You are not your feelings or your body. As C.S. Lewis says, your soul does not have a body. You are a soul that has a body, right? You're a soul that's having an experience, but it's a divine soul that is perfect, whole, and complete in its natural state. So your task is to nurture and develop those God qualities that are parts of you, just like you focus on the flowers in your garden and pull out the weeds. You're not just covering up the weeds so that they can sprout again. You are actually releasing a blocked energy from managing all those inner fears and sensibilities. So we spend time in spiritual practice communing with our higher self to discover who we are. Another quote from Michael Singer in The Untethered Soul: the more that you sit with the self, the more you will begin to feel an energy that you have never experienced before. It comes up from behind rather than in front, where you experience your mind and emotions. When you are no longer absorbed in your melodrama, but instead sit comfortably deep inside the seat of awareness, you will start to feel this flow of energy coming up from deep within. This flow has been called Shakti. This flow has been called spirit. This is what you begin to experience if you hang out with the self, capital S, instead of hanging out with inner disturbances. You don't have to get rid of loneliness. You just cease to be involved with it. It's just another thing in the universe, like cars, grass, and the stars. So, bringing all of this together in conclusion, none of us enjoy painful experiences. We have choice one. If we avoid pain, ignore it, or pretend that it doesn't exist, it will still be there, buried in our consciousness. We can build a fortress around it to avoid feeling it, but it will control our life if we do so. Instead, we can take choice two: accept it and use that pain in a positive way. Know that we are not bound by precedent. Just because things are a certain way now does not mean that they need to continue that way in the future. So embrace what it is that you want to do in your life. When you pull out that weed, what do you want to fill that space with? Listen to spirit within you. Increase your spiritual practice: meditation, sacred reading, sacred movement like yoga or Tai Chi, singing, artistic expression. Right? And as you listen, identify what you do want more of in your life. Choose those qualities of God that have been missing in your life. Know that you are a creation of God. Those qualities are already a part of you. Nurture those qualities. Focus on building up those qualities rather than distracting yourself by focusing on what you don't want. And as you shed those old ways, like the snake sheds his skin, you shed those false beliefs and replace them with the truth. You will begin to manifest the life that you have longed for. You can explore this whole idea of creating a mental equivalent of what you do want in the class that's starting next week. But your journey through pain is your pathway to joy and transformation. Let's take this to prayer. As we go within, there is that power and presence of God, the One, infinite love, the energy of the universe. The one life that is continually pouring itself out and into the world, into all of nature. And it is God, that one that is pouring itself into me, into each one of us, in us, through us, and around us, and as us. It is filling us up with that love and wholeness. Every nook and cranny is now cleared and filled with that love and joy and peace. We are healed and free of all blockages. We are safe. We are whole. And now, scanning your life, notice any area where there is some pain. Observe it. Ask it, what is the lesson of that pain? And now bravely allow those feelings of pain to rise to the surface. Observe its source. And with divine assurance and guidance, look beneath that pain even deeper and seeing an underlying source that is that true source of pain. And see that it is not the truth of who you are. It is just an experience. And so release it. And allow that divine wholeness to express itself. If it's physical pain, just allow that wholeness, that chi to flow through your body. And your body knows how to heal. And it does. It is that divine intention of who you are expressing itself now. It is that divine intention that is healing your relationships and your finances. It is the divine intention that it allows us to have an experience of wonder and delight and gratitude as we go through a simple walk and enjoying the new day. The warmth of the coming summer and all the trees that are growing and the flowers and the water in the lake. All the people here to enjoy its beauty and wonder. And so, as we are here sitting with our higher self in this wholeness, we release the need for pain. I allow myself to move through that temporary, uncomfortable feeling of shedding the old ways of believing and being that no longer serve me. I am safe. I am protected. I am allowing my true self to come forth. And so this release creates an opening. I am free. I am whole. I am one with God with greater possibilities. And so I welcome the new life that is filling this opening, expressing the beauty and wonder of the divine. My heart is open wide. I feel fully alive. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, life. And with joy in my heart, I let go and let God make it so. And together we say, and so it is.